Aloha and welcome to UHMTV, a news production brought to you by the journalism students at Manoa School of Communications. I'm Kristen Wong.
And I'm Brandon Rivera. Thank you for joining us.
Coming up, a look at sex trafficking and how Hawaii's youth are at risk.
Plus, we'll hear how a UH alum managed the social struggles of being an intersex student at the university.
And we'll check out a program that has made it possible for low-income students to attend college.
Stay with us for our fall 2017 episode of UHMTV.
Sex trafficking continues to trap Hawaii's vulnerable youth.
Some experts say a majority of them come from unprotected foster care. Bronson Doria has the story.
The cruel act of human trafficking continues to fuel Hawaii's prostitution problem. Traffickers target vulnerable homeless and runaway children, leaving many at risk here in Hawaii.
The children who are sex trafficked are mostly local. The Hawaiian community is at higher risk because they are disproportionately represented in areas of poverty, domestic violence, incarceration rates.
An estimated 2,800 children in Hawaii are at risk for sex trafficking. Most of the at-risk youth are foster children. Nearly half of the children within the services are Native Hawaiian. However, Hawaiian children only account for 34% of the statewide youth population. Currently, the island of Oahu has more than 150 brothels, with most disguising themselves as massage parlors.
They still kind of don't see it in Hawaii because it's hidden, but I mean, there's 24-hour massage parlors all over the place. Relaxation spas, gentlemen's clubs, even like the hidden brothels that don't even advertise. They look like regular homes. There's also street prostitution in downtown and in Waikiki, girls walking the track all the time.
With roughly 100,000 ads uploaded each year, ways of tracking and convicting these online sex crimes are increasingly harder. These online prostitution ads are uploaded each day on websites like Backpage and Craigslist.
There are a lot of girls and women being sold still online, a huge part of the market, and Hawaii is not excluded from that at all.
Most of these sex ads usually hide behind obscure wording and hints, where they usually charge customers for services like hourly massages.
Backpage just recently settled a huge sex trafficking case against them, which is a huge step towards abolishing the sale of children online.
As of now, the state of Hawaii has laws against sex trafficking and prostitution.
There's not a lot of resources out there still to help them heal in the education system or in the criminal justice system or in the medical field.
So Bronson, what are some effects that survivors experience?
Well, these victims report major trauma such as PTSD, HIV, memory loss, and depression. But support is available. For more information, check out our website.
Thanks, Bronson.
Some individuals are born with characteristics of not just one gender, but both male and female.
This UH alum shares her story on what it was like and how she coped with the harassment of being an intersex student. Chanel Diaz reports.
Many intersex individuals find themselves being bullied and harassed due to being born with sexual traits that do not fit their gender description.
I've had several stalkers, but one in particular was quite obsessive.
We're getting to the point where we have LGBTQI or LGBTQ+, but that doesn't mean there's equal representation, equal safety, and equal sense of being.
According to the Intersex Society of North America, 1 in 2,000 individuals are born intersex, and UH Manoa is home to 4 of them.
I just want them to know that this is a place where they are not alone, and that there are resources for them here at the campus.
UH student Ame Masutome, who is intersex, has been a victim of bullying and harassment while trying to complete her studies here at the university.
So that stalker was in our Women's Studies 352 class, well 351, it's cross-listed with biology. Very disruptive individual who obviously felt threatened in some manner with his male ego or male identities. He pursued me for about 6 months, harassing me at my job. He would say things like mutant or reject, misfit, you know, derogatory labels and things like that.
For Ame's situation, help was only a phone call or visit away.
I was able to assist with the harassment. So we were a place where she was able to be comfortable to be herself, but was able to do advocacy work to make sure that the harassment would stop, and do my best to make sure that she had a comfortable learning and living environment on campus.
Regardless of past incidents, Ame refuses to believe that her intersex identity is a life-threatening issue.
Intersex is no different from being male or female. I mean, it informs on our lives, but it shouldn't shape our lives. It shouldn't be the only thing that most explicitly is used to define who we are.
From UHMTV, Chanel Diaz.
So Chanel, what should a student do if they're being harassed on campus?
UH Manoa does advise its students to contact Title IX if they are being sexually discriminated against, but other outreach suggestions include your local campus security or police department.
Thanks, Chanel.
Being able to afford college has always been a feat for young adults.
But a Hawaii program called Gear Up has made it possible for low-income students for over 7 years now. Teresa Ron has more.
Gear Up is a college access program funded by the U.S. Department of Education. The program's goal is to help and inspire more low-income students to get higher education.
I think the program is really successful. It's had a huge impact as far as helping students prepare and enroll in post-secondary education. We are able to collect a lot of data that will show the results of our program, and that students that are part of a Gear Up program are more likely to enroll in college.
There's multiple Gear Up grants in the state, and Gear Up Waipahu is one of the grants that helps students directly from Waipahu High School.
With our last grant in 2014, we broke a lot of records. We did a lot of pioneering STEM classes and early college. For Waipahu, they had the highest early college rate in the state. Basically, 34% of the early college population in the state of Hawaii was from Waipahu High School.
Gear Up Waipahu is a partnership between UH Manoa and Waipahu High School. The goal of the program is to guide and mentor low-income students from middle school into high school and during their first year of college.
A lot of students from low-income backgrounds, they feel left out when they get here or alienated because they feel maybe they came from an era that you know, was looked down upon, you know. So like with Waipahu, the good thing about Waipahu is that there's a lot of good community support. The high school is really strong and really supportive. They have high academics as well.
Or when I was over there, people thought of Waipahu wasn't a great place. They didn't think that, you don't think that engineers or nurses or all these different jobs are coming out of Waipahu. So yeah, I'm just a guy from Waipahu, and I'm gonna be a civil engineer pretty soon. I want to make sure when these guys come out of high school and go into college, they're more prepared than me, and they know that even though we came where we're from, we still can go wherever we want to go. Yeah.
For UHMTV, I'm Teresa Ron.
So Teresa, who's eligible for the Gear Up program?
So there are about 21,000 students throughout the states that qualify for free or reduced lunches. And that's usually an indicator that they're part of the low-income community.
Thanks, Teresa. When we come back, we'll see how tuna is making a splash across the world. Don't go away.
Hawaii is home to one of the best universities in the world, the University of Hawaii at Manoa. Consistently ranked in the top 5% among national and international universities. Affordable with resident tuition more than $4,000 below the national average. 200+ degree programs to choose from. Get a world-class education and experience. The University of Hawaii at Manoa.
Poke has recently become popular across the globe.
Harrison Patino reports on how this new poke trend might be affecting the tuna stocks worldwide.
Is it it's so good. Okay, I'm gonna taste it just to taste it.
So good. Next to plate lunch and poi, few dishes are as synonymous with Hawaii as the poke bowl. It's tasty, filling, and without a doubt one of Hawaii's most popular dishes.
On any given day, you can find tourists and locals alike at popular lunch spots like Ono's Seafood, eagerly awaiting a quick bite.
It should come as no surprise then that the allure of poke has made its way to the mainland and beyond. A quick Instagram search of the hashtag Poke Bowl will yield images of sleek, modern poke shops as far west as London and as far east as Singapore. But as the worldwide demand for the island delicacy stays firmly on the rise, one of the dish's most popular ingredients, yellowfin tuna, remains overfished on a global scale. Half the world's yellowfin tuna fisheries are heavily overfished well beyond sustainable rates, while the other two teeter on the brink. Marine biologist Eric Franklin says that while the worldwide interest in poke won't empty the sea of tuna just yet, there is still cause for concern.
I think there is a level of concern here, but I would say tuna there's a global demand for tuna. There's a huge cultural and societal demand for fish products, especially tunas.
Others, like Keith Bigelow of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, say that as a result of the global interest in tuna, consumers should be aware of what they're buying and how it gets from ocean to table.
So that's one thing you can do. You can eat the more productive and sustainable fish stocks. Secondly is the larger the fish, larger the fish you eat, the better for the population, because that fish has actually gotten an opportunity to spawn.
While the future of tuna stocks remains up for debate, there are still a few small steps you can take the next time you're in the mood for poke. Before you buy, ask where the fish came from. Was it locally caught or imported from another country?
Fresh poke, while occasionally a few dollars more than its frozen counterpart, is more likely to be locally and sustainably caught. Not only that, it tastes better too. For UHMTV, I'm Harrison Patino.
So how many poke shops are there on the mainland?
Well, Brandon, according to data from Foursquare, there's about 800 locations on the mainland where you can get a poke bowl, but sadly, you're not going to find anything that looks like this.
You're probably right. Hawaii poke bowls are the best. Thanks, Harrison. Most school lunches in Hawaii are flown in from thousands of miles away.
Kainoa Fernandez looks at how a local restaurant is catering to multiple schools using locally sourced ingredients.
The average school lunch of pre-packaged and previously frozen entrees often travel thousands of miles before reaching the tables of one of nearly 400 Hawaii schools. Hale Kealoha Aipono, a family-owned restaurant in Kailua, is hoping to change what's on the menu.
Our taro, ulu, sweet potato, and the luau is actually from all of our local vendors, right? It's not something that we need to get shipped in. You know, the farmers bring them over here.
Serving about 250 lunches a day, Smith uses fresh, locally sourced ingredients as much as possible.
We're an entity that these farmers can bring their produce to, and we can serve, have it available for others to purchase, not only in our restaurant, but in our school and system, so that creates the demand for fresh food. Do you know where your food source is? Do you know where your food coming from?
Only 10% of all foods consumed in Hawaii are locally grown, and one farmer is hoping to make a change. Hanalei Bishop, a taro farmer, is hoping to raise awareness about self-sustainability through feeding his community with the food he grows.
You know, the end goal is to just strengthen the health of your people, your community, and just for the general betterment of whatever society that you're currently in,
Officials say increasing locally grown and produced food by 10% will keep over $300 million within Hawaii's economy.
It's for a farmer, it's hard to carry all of the jobs that are needed to be sustainable. Especially when you're working by yourself a lot. You go pull a taro, then you go make the poi, you go sit someplace to sell the poi, and then hopefully it all sells, and then you can pay your bills. Having places that will support, local agriculture, sustainable agriculture, like how Auntie Tammy them do, and is very important. It's a very important piece of the puzzle,
When you know your food source, I think it's a better relationship.
Kainoa Fernandez, UHMTV.
So Kainoa, does Hale Kealoha have any plans to expand to other schools?
Yes, there are talks to expand their services to other public schools, and maybe one day, the University of Hawaii.
Thanks, Kainoa. Coming up next, our own Nicole Tam sits down with local anchor and UH alum, Keahi Tucker.
We'll be right back. UHMTV, a show produced by the journalism students at the University of Hawaii at Manoa School of Communications.
Welcome back to UHMTV. We're honored to have Hawaii News Now evening anchor and a proud UH alum, Keahi in studio. Keahi, welcome.
Thank you.
So you've been in the news business for more than 20 years now. What's it been like?
It's a wild ride. I love it. It's interesting. Get to talk to a lot of people you never would in regular jobs, and every day is something different.
We know you love surfing. What's something special that no one really knows about that you like to do? Do you have any hobbies?
Oh, well, I cut my own hair. A lot of people don't know that. No, hobbies are pretty much chores around the house, playing with my kids, surfing as much as I can.
Well, the haircut looks great.
Thank you.
So tell us a little more about your time here at UH.
It was great. I really loved UH. Stayed at the dorms for a while and worked my way through it. Took a bunch of interesting classes. Art, and studied Hawaiian language, actually. I never thought I would use it as much as I actually am these days, but it helps.
So we watched that fun little reel of you doing your thing back then. What's some of those stories that kind of stuck in your mind over the years that you want to share?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, there's a bunch, but I mean, I rode a bucking bronco on live TV. I didn't last long. I covered a lot of really sad and difficult stories in Baltimore and Washington, you know, the crime. And, you know, when I went to Kansas, I found myself covering tornadoes. Here's this kid from Hawaii telling people to watch out and head to their basement for a tornado, and I've never even seen one, so that was different.
On the note of fake news, we've seen that a lot in our news diets lately. How do you ensure you're still delivering the best news out there? Yeah, well, you know, we're trained as journalists to try and root out the bias, stick to the facts, get the story straight, and you never give up on that. You just really hold the line and your own standards at trying to make sure what you're saying is true, fair, down the middle. I think we're all learning now in this new age to be aware of where our news comes from and exactly what we can trust. And it's a trial and error process, but I think in the end it makes us all wiser and better informed consumers of news. One last question. You're a proud UH alum. What's some advice you have for graduating students?
Well, my advice to all the students out there is to never give up. Apply yourself with everything you have. Don't make excuses, and push yourself to the edge of your limits always. And just keep on going and you're going to get there. Wherever it is you're trying to go, you may not get there quickly, but keep on going and you'll get there.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your stories with us. We really appreciate it. And thanks so much for joining us on UHMTV.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I chose UH Manoa's College of Social Sciences because it inspires me to be bold and unafraid, to stand out, speak up, defend, and question.
It's about being in my element, being engaged, and being part of something great.
At the College of Social Sciences, we empower students to explore their interests, discover what they excel in, and learn how to apply their knowledge outside the classroom. Visit us today and learn more about us, because life is not one-dimensional and your college degree shouldn't be.
Ocean safety is one of Hawaii's top priorities, according to the Hawaii State Department of Health.
But some say not enough is being done to deter one dangerous activity. One of Oahu's popular activities has proven to be deadly. On any given day, one can find residents and tourists alike at popular cliff jumping spots such as Spitting Caves and China Walls in Hawaii Kai. According to the most recent report done by the State of Hawaii's Department of Health, from the year 2009 to 2013, there were a reported 31 spinal cord injuries from diving into the ocean. But Drowning and Spinal Cord Injury Prevention Coordinator Bridget Velasco explained that a more prevalent danger is being in the impact zone after the jump.
We do know that even if somebody doesn't necessarily get a blunt force or a trauma type injury, they can often drown or get in trouble.
In the past 7 years, more than a dozen people have died at spitting caves alone, and many more have needed saving. Austin Mahiai, a Honolulu native and avid cliff jumper, wasn't surprised by the number of fatalities.
From what I've seen, I would kind of expect those numbers because there's not really strong enforcement on jumping off on cliff jumping. So basically, someone could just do it without being warned, without knowing what they're really getting into.
Mahiai stated that he has seen people get into trouble while cliff jumping plenty of times, and most times they need help out of the water.
They jump and they don't know the risks, the risk they're taking. So when they jump in, like I said, like sometimes surprise sets come and then they're trying to climb back up the wall to get back up. And then they end up getting knocked off the wall, getting scraped against the wall. And then some of the local people have to come in, help them out, pull them up the wall.
Sites that are located in tourist destinations such as Kapahulu Groin and Waikiki present unique challenges due to their visibility to visitors.
Really, it is kind of a paradigm shift that I think we need to show visitors and residents alike, that just because you see people doing it doesn't make it safe.
While the Department of Health is aware of the dangers of cliff jumping, it's the state's Department of Land and Natural Resources that is responsible for putting up signs, closing off sites, and posting lifeguard stands and buoys, but little has been done as of yet. For now, the Department of Health is focusing on education as a prevention method, particularly for visitors, informing those who are not comfortable in the water or familiar with cliff jumping to be cautious before partaking in the activity.
The messages we're working on right now we're focusing specifically on visitors and helping them to understand, really to take a step back, to respect, to get a little bit more knowledge before they just get into the water.
Residents and politicians have advocated for warning signs and lifeguard buoys, but we'll have to wait to see if DLNR responds. For UHMTV, I'm Brandon Rivera.
So what should people do if they see someone in trouble?
It's advised to call 911 as soon as possible, but it doesn't hurt to learn CPR in the case of any emergency.
Thanks, Brandon. Tattooing is now more popular than ever. Here's a look at how traditional Hawaiian artists are doing it. The centuries-old art of Hawaiian tattooing has been revived by a handful of practitioners for over 10 years. Opposed to the modern-day electric tattooing that we often see, in traditional tattooing, the artist is the one who chooses the design, basing it off of your family lineage or your lifestyle.
For us, it's not only just a permanent marking, it's a spiritual denotation. Your ancestors are meant to see the markings on your body.
The artists typically draw out the design as a form of identification. Then, using the cacao method, will begin dipping the handcrafted tool made of tusk ivory into ink and slowly tap it into the drawings. While this type of tattooing has been around for many years, it's still unknown whether it is technically legal. The Hawaii State Department of Health says it depends on what your definition of traditional tattooing is.
What we define as legal and not legal tattooing is pretty much if you're doing it for consideration. So it doesn't even say money. So consideration means anything as of value, whether it be services, barter, cash, or whatever. That's the point where you're going to need a permit or license. Oshiro says that licensed tattoo artists typically use disposable or pre-sterilized needles. Keone Nunes, a traditional tattooing practitioner, has spent months handcrafting cultural tools for his own use.
Within the tattoo world, there was, I guess, in the past, there was concern over bone needles as opposed to metal needles because of the sterilization. Keone has been doing it for over 20 years, and he's never had any bad things happen. And since he began the sterilization process that we do, we constantly try to make it better.
Because these tattoos are done with needles made of wood and bone, it makes it really difficult for the state to regulate it.
The big difference between, I guess, what you would call traditional or cultural versus regulated tattooing is actually just the equipment. Traditional tattoo implements and tools are either very difficult or not able to be sterilized. A lot of times they're made of wood with metal pieces slipped in and tied with string, literally. So these things are not what you call easily cleanable, sanitizing, or disinfected or sterilized. So we won't allow that type of equipment. That's a big barrier for them, is actually just having the basic equipment that can be sterilized properly.
Are there any plans to update the tattoo laws?
Well, they've been talking about it since 1980, so we shall see.
Thanks, Kristen. And thank you all for joining us. We hope you enjoyed our show.
Until next time, from all of us here at UHMTV, aloha and ahui ho.